She's a winner.
And welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, where you take enlightened entrepreneurs, coaches, and influencers together to discuss cutting-edge topics in the world of relationships, culture, business, and spirituality. And here's your host, Miss Carol Boston.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Now, you know I'm looking outside because those of you who follow me know I'm your weather girl. So when you chime in today in the chat and in the comments, make sure you've given StreamYard permission so we can have a conversation and a dialogue, not just a monologue. And you get to tell us where you're chiming in from and what the weather's like where you are. Here in South Florida, as I look around, there's a few really pretty white cumulus clouds in the sky, but it's blue and it's sunny and the humidity's down. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, so it's a wonderful time. So I love being the weather girl. Now, you know, when we open the show, we talk about intuition, right? It's interesting that I've been brought into this show a year and a half ago and taken the show over when I used to think I didn't even have any intuition. But we call it the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. And here we bring on guests that help us grow that in ourselves as well as in our businesses. I'm excited today for our guest. Number one, guess where she is? She's in Texas. I was born in Texas, and I'm heading back to Texas in about 3 weeks or so for my father's funeral, looking to make those arrangements to this little bitty town. So I'm excited to hear about what's going on in Texas these days. And she's going to be talking about something that I haven't been very good at. So maybe she's going to give some tips to be better. I'm excited. Can we bring on our guest, Ms. Shanti Refuge, today? Hello, Shanti. How you doing?
How you doing?
You're in Beaumont, Texas, right?
I'm actually from Beaumont, Texas. Right now, I'm in Houston, Texas.
What's the weather like today?
It is 69 degrees.
Ooh, beautiful, right?
Yes, it is. If it could just stay like this, it would be great.
I know. I think the best weather in the world that I've experienced is in San Diego, California. I'll never remember. I was out there several years ago, and it was at the end of May. Now, at the end of May here, where I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I sweat just by walking out the door, right? And I was at a conference. I was staying with a friend and her 3 children, and I was going to a conference, and I'd get up every day, and I'd dress in my long pants and my long sleeve dress shirt, and I'd go to this conference and come back and never sweat. I'm like, this is a miracle.
Right? In May, yeah, at the end of May, yes.
It's like that year round in San Diego. So, a curious question: how did you find the show?
I found the show on Facebook group.
Fantastic. And I'm streaming live to my Facebook page right now as well. Cool. So give us the short version of how you came to do what you do, because I got a lot of questions for you today. So introduce what you do and how you came to do that.
Okay. Well, I am a certified mental health coach. I'm a mental health advocate, keynote speaker, and author. And I help women who are serious about their mental health. I help them to release, heal, and live their best lives with guided journaling. And I came about doing that. I started in 2021. Prior to that, I had my own mental health experience that was not great. I actually had a nervous breakdown. And instead of taking the medication that was being thrown at me, I did not want that. I wanted to figure out why I had this mental breakdown. And I learned that through talk therapy and guided journaling, I had deep-seated issues that I had not gotten rid of. I hadn't released, I hadn't talked about. And they were just sitting there waiting. And they came out on their own in 2018. So that's how I got started. I figured, okay, I know there's not someone else out there who needs this, who doesn't want medication. Not that I'm against it, but, I say use it as your last resort, not your first. Just address your issues so you can heal from it and move on. So that's what I do.
And, addressing issues is a challenge for a lot of people, right? They would rather just kind of stuff them and not look at them. And I remember this is back in 1990. We won't spend the time talking about my whole story, but I ended up going to a psychologist. I was having panic attacks. I didn't know what they were, and anxiety, didn't know what that was. Apparently I was severely clinically depressed, but listen to you say it just comes out. So he takes me through this battery of tests, like 2 or 3 hours worth of tests. And I had told my best friend at work, I said, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not living like this anymore. So he looks at me and he says, I want you to check yourself into this really cool women's wellness clinic. And I said, okay, tell me about that. And so he did. And I said, well, for how long? And he said, 30 days. I said, 30 days? I've never even taken a week's vacation. He's like, that's a big part of your problem. Right? Things that we're not looking at to address. So my first question is, what's the difference between being a certified mental health coach and being a therapist?
A therapist is a licensed mental health professional who can diagnose conditions.
Mm,
I am certified as in to help you, to set goals, heal from. I cannot diagnose anyone. I can in my head, but if I, determine based on our interaction, if I, you talking to me and I say, okay, I can sense a bit of this and this, then I'll have to refer them to a therapist. So, I mean, therapists and coaches pretty much do the same thing. I just can't diagnose a disorder.
mm. So your ideal client is someone who's already been diagnosed, or they just don't know what's going on at the time?
Either one. Either one. Just by if they come to me wanting coaching, thinking they just need coaching, uh, I can pretty much by the first visit, I can tell if they need to see a therapist or not. And I refer them. I have a network of therapists, so I refer them out to, who I think would be a good fit for them. And most of my clients, once they come in, they're doing both. They're seeing a therapist and a coach, which is not a problem at all.
Right. That's a great thing. I've been working to grow that area of my network as well. As a matter of fact, I remember back in 2019, I had an office. It was before COVID, and one of my clients was sitting there, and she tells me about this challenge, we'll call it. And I kind of looked at her. She goes, that one's for my therapist, huh? And I said, yeah, and take her this one too. And I gave her another one back. So it's important that we stay in our lane uh,
Yes.
as coaches. So I'm really glad to hear that. Um, Tell me a little bit about journaling and the power of journaling, because I'll be candid. I mean, if it comes to reading, I'm good at reading, but actually being consistent in journaling, that's that has not been me up until today. So give me some hacks.
Okay, well, I prefer guided journaling, especially when someone is new to journaling, because when you hear the word journaling, you're thinking a blank notebook and you're just writing, which that is what journaling is. And I know from my personal experience, that intimidated me. I did not like that.
Mm,
I needed specific questions to answer so that I'll know, how to answer it. I mean, there's no right or wrong answers, but you would be surprised how much more will come out of you if you're answering a prompt. And those journal prompts, they help you to, focus on your topic. They help you to, get whatever it is out of your head. That's the most important thing. And to later on, as you're progressing with guided journaling, you can go back and reflect. Because I guarantee if you journal, use the guided journal for 30 days and you go back to the first day, that's going to be a whole different person from day one to day 30. And it helps a lot. It helps you to, like for example, for me, I had childhood issues that I wasn't aware that were childhood issues until I became an adult and looked back. So I had to work through those, and I did it with guided journaling, and it helped answer a lot of questions just by me writing. And it helps, you know how sometimes we have multiple issues,
oh yeah.
and my recommendation, work on one issue at a time. Don't try to
Mm.
juggle your low self-esteem, low self-worth, prayer, divorce. Don't work on all those at the same time, one at a time, and that'll keep you focused, and you'll have a better chance at healing from whatever it is that you're trying to heal from.
So when you say a 30-day program, is this something that you customize, like you meet with your clients and then you customize the prompts? Is this a course that you've created because you know these 30 prompts are real effective? How does that work in your world?
It is tailored to the client. So I don't do the cookie cutter course thing. I meet with my client. They tell me what they need. I give them what they need. And everybody's needs, even if they're trying to heal from the same situation,
Mm.
their method of healing isn't going to be the same. They're all going to get prompts, but they're going to be, placed in different ways. And I do give homework assignments, and you come back and we do the work. Only thing I ask is that you be honest from day
Mm.
one.
Do you find when you say be honest? I was told quite a while back, early on in my coaching career, that people would more often give you more honest and open feedback if you like turned off the Zoom cameras, for example. In other words, they weren't looking at you face to face. Do you have that experience?
No, I require to see your face. That you have to show up for yourself. And
Right.
that's the part of showing up for yourself is, be authentic, be honest. We all have done something we're not proud of. But the first part of your healing, you have to acknowledge that. And I require the camera on.
So if I'm out there in the audience right now, and you know what? I don't even have my comment thing up to see who's joining us today. And I were trying to decide, am I going to go find a therapist or am I going to call Shanti and work with a mental health coach? What would be some of the things I would think about in order to make that decision?
You would like to, well, typically from my experience, the client wants to work with someone who looks like them, or at least be a woman of a certain age, because I found that some don't want to work with someone who's younger than them, fresh out of school. Like, what are they going through? Nobody wants to work with someone like that. Or someone doesn't want to work with someone that's too old, too much older than them, because they feel like they're set in their ways
Okay.
and they're not going to understand, these current issues. Um, I always say, do your research. Google can be your friend. Go to Google, Google what it is you want, and get the results. Vet everyone. Don't just pick the first person that pops up on the list. It's not about quality. I'm sorry, quantity. It's about quality.
Sure.
You might have someone who has like 20 years experience, in their field, but what do their reviews look like? When you Google their name, does it come up several times or just one time?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do find someone, ask for references. It is perfectly okay to ask for references. And, most times a therapist, just like I do, when I talk to my client, I'll say, okay, coaching will work for you, or you need to see a therapist. The therapist is supposed to do the same thing. Now, there are therapists that are coaches as well. So
Mm.
they may take the client on as, their therapist and their client for coaching. But it's up to the client to do their research, and, it's the client is the boss in this situation. I
Abs-
work for my client. The therapist works for the client. It's not the other way around. So you have to do what's best for you in the end.
Absolutely. Welcome to Jeff Purdue, who's in the house in the comments today. He said, so
Yes.
true. So true. References are key.
Yes. You have
So
to do your homework.
that didn't totally answer my question. So I'm going to ask it a little
I'm
different.
sorry. Ask it again.
No, you don't have to apologize. I got a lot of good information out of that. No, I'm not at all. So if I'm sitting out here and I really don't know, are you saying do both? Vet a therapist, go interview a therapist, vet someone like you, go interview them, and then
Yes.
make a decision? Or
Yes.
do I trust that if I pick someone like you, that you're going to tell me, yeah, you get to start with a therapist as opposed to starting with me?
I can only speak for myself as a mental health coach. If I determine on the first visit, yeah, this isn't going to work, I will let you know.
Mm,
There are some that will keep coaching you, coaching you, coaching you, and they're not helping you. And they're just basically taking your money. Same thing with a therapist. I always tell people you shouldn't be seeing a therapist for the same thing for more than a year.
mm.
So if you're on the same topic with your therapist for 1 year, they're not helping you. That means you're not growing. Or
Well, perhaps it means you're not willing to do the work.
that too. And therapists can end the sessions. I,
Hmm.
I can end mine. I've never had to, but if I feel like my client isn't doing the work, you know why are you here? It's free money, but that's
I
not
fi-
what I'm
I
in it for.
I've fired a couple of clients myself, so I get it. Hello, Miss Kathleen Tyner. She says, "Hey, Miss Carol, definitely hearing someone who has integrity."
Yes.
Kathleen's husband is a psychologist, so it's really interesting to have her here. And I was just thinking back on two of the reasons that you gave. And I've had both of those situations. So back in the 90s, when I first went into therapy, um, my therapist was quite a bit older than me.
Mhm.
Phenomenal. Did great work with her for a few years. And currently, I went for many years without a therapist, and currently my therapist is quite a bit younger than me. And I didn't have that thought, oh, she's too old for me years ago. But when I first started working with this therapist, that thought crossed my mind.
Mhm.
And it's just a judgment, right? And when we
Right.
make a judgment, it's just about us. My judgment was, she's so much younger than me. What life experience can she bring to the table?
Exactly.
But guess what? I'm doing really good work with this therapist very quickly. She's really quite good.
That's
So,
awesome.
so I think that oftentimes we also get to be aware of our own judgments that come up, and that our judgments are not really about that therapist or that coach. Our judgments are about us and things that we don't
Exactly.
necessarily want to look at, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Because it takes a lot of courage to even say that, hey, I think I need a therapist, or hey, I think I need a coach. So, yeah. But it's ultimately the client's responsibility. You have to use your discernment, use research. If you don't like, if we have a couple of sessions and you don't like how I'm talking to you, or you don't like what I'm saying, you are free to go.
Sometimes I'm sitting here thinking,
I see.
Jeff and Kathleen will know me. Jeff will go, she's always thinking. Oh, so what one thing? I'm known as the queen of reframe, so I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get the
Mhm.
answer you really want, right?
Yeah.
So they're specific and time bound. So what one thing would have to happen for you, other than you think they're not doing the work, for you to end that relationship?
It would be that they aren't doing the work, because I give work during. They're not sharing. They're not. If they're not showing me they're growing, then I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm not going to let them waste their money.
So when I was in therapy back in the 90s with this therapist, I remember I had worked with her for several years over, like you said, issues you didn't even know you had. And she said to me one time, she said, Carol, when you leave, she didn't say if, she said, when you leave, and eventually you'll have another therapist, make sure your therapist has a therapist. And
Yes.
I asked her, how come? And she said, because you don't want your therapist working on their issues through you. Make sure that they have a therapist. And I say that today, make sure your coach has a coach, right?
Absolutely.
So if you could share one thing with us about what helps you make a decision as to who's going to be your therapist or your coach, what would that be? What's a
I have
defining a
I
defining?
have a therapist. I've been in therapy since 2018, when I had my nervous breakdown, and I've gone through three therapists. The first one did not work out. She was an older lady,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, okay, she's gonna bring some wisdom. She didn't bring anything. I ended up having to fire her. It's like I felt like I was just telling her my issues, and she was just like soaking it
Mm,
in, but not providing any solution.
okay.
And the second one, after I fired her, I got a second one, and she was younger. She was a little younger than me. I said, okay, I'm gonna give her a chance, and she ghosted me after my first session.
No way.
Yes, she did.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't even know from that I developed abandonment issues. Like I'm like, what just happened? Like she wasn't returning my calls. She wasn't, when I was calling the schedule again, emailing, she just ghosted me. So I found my third one, which is the one who helps me ultimately.
Mm,
And we're about the same age. And I told her from the jump, hey, I done had two therapists, that you're my third one. I came to her with much attitude, and she took my attitude and she helped me. And she broke up with me after a year, and I I felt like that was like a real relationship breakup. But she told me, I don't want you to use me as a crutch. You know what
mm,
you're doing. Go and do it. We'll meet, periodically. You can always schedule every 3 months, every 6 months to a check in, but
mm.
we're breaking up. And that was the best thing that ever happened. And now we're colleagues.
Fantastic. How good for you.
Thank you.
I'm looking over here in the comments, and when I was talking about my therapist being younger than me, Kathleen says exactly what I'd be thinking, Carol, but glad it's working out. Then
I know.
she said, laugh out loud. And she says, and on occasion, a particular therapist and client won't gel, and it's not a match, and you find another one that works well with you.
Yeah.
And she's talking about you getting ghosted. She says, wow, that was unprofessional. Never heard of a therapist ghosting a client.
Yes, she did. She did. I could not believe it myself. And, I always say, if you feel like you've taken on a client that you know that it won't work, the relationship, tell them. Don't just ghost them. But that goes with the age thing, I think, because she was
Oh,
younger.
absolutely. That's the lack of maturity, right?
Yeah.
She may have her own issues with insecurity,
Hmm.
and unwillingness. And
Exactly.
oftentimes I find that in the younger, because I'm working with some younger people right now too, the younger generation, they're like, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, so I just won't say anything. Right? Like, how does that work?
Right?
Kathleen says, yep, tell them. Oh, so tell us, would this work in a group session or just individual?
Group.
Group?
I do group support. So
Tell
I
us,
have
tell us a little bit about that.
I actually do that. I didn't have any intention on doing that, but I was approached by Sharewell, and they asked me to come in and do support groups, as many as I want, however many times I want. And so I was like, yeah, because nobody in there was doing guided journaling. So
Mhm.
what we do once a week, and I just got out of one. What we do is go in and we have a different topic every week. Today's topic was anger management. And, I gave them journal prompts on anger management, and we go around the room and answer the question. And I even share my answer to the prompt to make them feel comfortable. I never want anyone to feel uncomfortable, especially you're in a room full of strangers and you're ultimately, revealing some things you probably would never say aloud to anybody else.
Sure.
But I love the group. I love the one on one.
If you had to choose, what would you choose?
One on one.
Yeah. It's cool to have that intimate 101. It's just hard to scale that way, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I mean, it is. Think about it. You only have so many hours in the day.
Exactly.
So you either get to work your way up like I got one of my coaching certifications years ago from Christian Michelson, and people pay Tony Robbins $100,000 a day to work with him. Christian Michelson makes $100,000 a year. So I guess if you're making $100,000 a year, 10 clients, you're good, right?
Right? Absolutely.
But most people, and look at both of them though, they both still do major group things.
Yeah, they do.
So apart from Sharewell, is Sharewell like a major corporation? What is Sharewell?
They are the sister company of BetterHelp. Have you ever saw those BetterHelp commercials or the ads on Facebook? BetterHelp is therapy, actual therapists.
Okay.
And then is the support group part. So, because I'm not a therapist, I'm on that side, which is fine. I don't want to be a therapist.
Right. Kathleen said, I've done group therapy. It was very helpful. Made a lifelong friend out of that group.
Yeah.
But she said, yes, one-on-one. There's just a certain difference about the one-on-one. But, in group dynamics, things come up that you might not ever explore in one-on-one. So I think it's powerful to have both.
And then at the same time, you're in a group of people that, all of them may feel like they're the only ones going through something, or they're the only ones that have experienced this. But no, you're not. Because look, this person, we've all had the same, type of experience, just in different ways. So you are not alone.
I can't believe you just said that.
Yep, you are not alone.
Are you psychic?
Yes. I'm intuitive.
Oh, there you go. You're on the right show. Because I'm sitting here thinking, Yana, because Jeff and Kathleen, they don't just come to this show. I do a Facebook Live for the last 3 years on my own page, Carol's Courage to Confidence Corner. And oftentimes I'll say, somebody put it in the chat, Yana, you are not alone. And Kathleen's really good about putting stuff in the chat. And I'm sitting here thinking it, and you said it. I'm like,
Yeah, you are not alone. Because a lot of us think that we, like when I was going through my thing, I thought I was the only one that has ever gone through this. But no, turns out I'm not. So, that's why I'm very vocal about taking care of your mental health. No matter what walk of life, what stage of life you're in, take care of your mental health. It's very important.
Absolutely. Kathleen says, Carol says Yana all the time.
Yana, and I'm going to start saying it now. Yana.
Put it in the chat. You are not alone, right? I didn't make that up. I always give credit to, do you know who Lisa Nichols is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I got Yana back in
Yeah.
2000 and I think 15 or 16 when I
Hmm.
first got on her campus and connected with her. And it's just, I mean, she didn't trademark it or anything, so I just give her credit because it is powerful for people to remember that you are not alone
Yeah.
because it's easy to get
Yeah.
isolated.
Very much so, because they don't see anyone directly around them going through it. And that's why we sometimes feel like we're alone, but we're not.
Well, I've had so much fun talking to you. We're coming up on the last couple of minutes of the show.
Okay.
So we're going to put it across the screen how people can contact you. But tell us, what's the best way to get in touch with you, to find out about your one on one programs? And I know you do group through Sharewell. Is group something you might be thinking about doing on creating your own groups?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, how do people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me by going to my website, which is shantirefuge.com. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Shanti Refuge Journals. Just you can Google Shanti Refuge and I will come up.
So, when you say journals, do you create journals as well that you sell?
Yes, I have a line of guided journals, and they're all different topics. And it's for the person to, either work by themselves with it, because some people feel like they don't want to talk to anybody. Well, write it in your journal. So I
Mm.
have, different topics, and they're all 100 pages, 6 by 9. And they're all based on, self esteem stuff, love, self awareness, unpacking baggage, things like that. And so I incorporate that into my coaching program as well.
So earlier you mentioned something about it being 30 days. Are each one of these journals something if you did it every day, you would do it in 30 days?
It depends on which one you choose. Like one I have
Okay.
that lasts a year. You only
Oh,
write in it once a month. I have one that's 2 weeks. So it just depends on which one that you choose and how often you want to work in it. It doesn't have to be every day, but as long as it's at least 2 or 3 times a week, it just depends on what type of journey you want to take.
okay. What's one last thought you could give someone like me? And Yana, I know I'm not alone, that it's just, it's hard getting started and staying with it. What is something, what's a little hack that we could do? Like 30 days ago, I think, maybe 5 weeks now. I have to go look at my calendar. I told my therapist that I was no longer going to watch the Weather Channel. I love the Weather Channel. I wasn't going to watch the Weather Channel or the news in the morning, and I would start reading. And I have kept that up Monday through Friday. I let myself watch it on Saturday, Sundays, and I've been consistent in that. And I've been through 3 books in that short period of time.
Wow.
So that commitment kind of helped me do that. But I don't really have that for journaling. What's one quick hack you could do to help me get, or anybody like me to get started?
You can either journal in the morning before you walk out the door, or you could do it before you go to bed.
Mm,
And it doesn't have to take long. When you hear journaling, people think it's hours long. It could
right.
take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. It doesn't take long.
Oh, okay.
Make it a habit.
Well, awesome. Kathleen says, thank you. I've enjoyed this. Shanti Refuge Journal. She put that in there.
Thank
John
you.
Corbellini in the house. Dude, you're always here at the end, 30 minutes late. We're leaving.
He does
And
it on purpose.
he does. He says, hello, gorgeous. Just on my Monday show. There he was, 30 minutes late. Fine, we're about to close, right? So, Shanti, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. For
Thank
those
you
of
for
you who are
having me.
here live, reach out to Shanti if this is the perfect fit for you. If you're watching this on replay, put in #replay. Let us know what you found most valuable. Reach out to her as far as looking at her journals or her help. This has been the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Once again, on another Wednesday, we always have great guests. And then remember, once a month, You just get me. Now, I put the word just in there kind of as fun because you guys know who follow me. We take that word just out of our vocabulary, right? Because just is a minimizer. So I threw it in there for fun. But you get me. Usually it's the first week of every month. Stay tuned. I never know who the guests are very far in advance. Come back next week and join us. Bring a friend. Make sure you give StreamYard permission. We'd love to have conversations and dialogue and not just monologues. Make it a great week. Go in peace and remember, your job is to trust the process. Just take the next step.
Absolutely.
Take care from the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show. Make it a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Intuitive Entrepreneur Show, brought to you by Life Coaching Today magazine, empowering your health, your business, your community, your life. Check out the latest issue today at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.